Hello and welcome to Be in the Spotlight. And my guest today is the lovely Rachel Lounds. Rachel, if you'd like to introduce yourself to our audience of viewers and listeners and give them a little bit of a background about what you do and where you're from, that would be much appreciated.
Hello, Sue. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
That's good. All right. So for everyone listening, my name is Rachel Lowndes. I live in Sydney, Australia. I am a LinkedIn coach and content and marketing coach. I'm also a top voice on LinkedIn. So
Wow.
apparently LinkedIn think I should be listened to. So maybe you should too. But I
I
haven't
think I
always
think we're
been,
listening. I think we're listening.
yeah, I haven't always been a LinkedIn coach. That's something that I've been doing recently. But I have been on LinkedIn for a number of years and used LinkedIn predominantly as my main platform. So I got made top coach before I became a LinkedIn coach, top voice, sorry, before I became a LinkedIn coach. And that was purely because I do spend a lot of time on LinkedIn. I know a lot about it and the platform and writing content on there. So yeah, great to be here.
Great to have you. So, just for those of us who may be a little bit stupid and not fully aware of all the terminology with regards to, especially LinkedIn, top
Mm.
voice, what does that actually mean?
So Top Voice is a LinkedIn invite only program.
Hmm.
It's a blue badge on the
Ooh.
platform.
Hmm.
It's quite coveted. I didn't know that because people were like, "How did you get the blue badge?" And I'm like, "I got invited." Like, like, what's the big deal? But yeah, so I since found out it's an invite only program, and it's because LinkedIn have recognized that you are publishing content that they feel is valuable for the people on there, and so. Um, at the time, I was posting a lot of content about careers. They do value that as a topic. They
Mm.
obviously value leadership as
Mm.
well. And so I talk about, even though that I'm now talking to like business owners and people
Mm.
who are, creating content for themselves, like
Mhm.
part of building your business and, putting content out there requires a bit of leadership. It
Mm.
requires some confidence. And
Mm.
so that still kind of is relevant to the
Mm.
platform.
Mm.
And yeah, so it's an invite only program. It is something that they give you because they're recognizing you as
Mm.
being a content creator of value.
Oh, that's good. It sounds very much like the Microsoft MVP um, program or recognition that you see a lot of the trainers and consultants in the Microsoft world get that and coveted it there, and they focus on that. So that's good to know. Good to know. So we've talked a few things that you just mentioned there, obviously about LinkedIn, about your work as a career coach previously before you became a top voice. You've mentioned confidence. You've mentioned experience and stuff like that, leadership. They're all big buzzwords that we hear
Mm.
everywhere we go now. But has that always been your journey? Or did you sort of start out, have you always been this confident person, Rachel? Or did you sort of start out as somebody that maybe wasn't as confident as you are now?
It's a very interesting question, that Sue, because I think I have always been quite self-assured, and people will say to you that I come across as very confident. But of course, I'm a human being, so I'm not going to be confident 24/7, right? That's not possible for us to be confident 24/7. And so I actually realized because my background is in advertising, and so I spent 25 years in the advertising industry,
Mm.
which obviously helps with when you're doing marketing and content.
Definitely, definitely.
Um, but like transitioning from a corporate career into your own business, I did suffer quite a lot of imposter syndrome, and I
Mm.
realized that imposter syndrome had been fairly prominent in
Mm.
my even in my advertising career.
Mm.
And so I kind of then had a loss of confidence, a moment where I lost confidence in myself. And that actually comes down to the fact that I'm doing something new. I
Mm.
haven't done it before. I'm tackling new things.
Mm.
Therefore, I'm out of my comfort zone.
Mm.
Growth does mean that you are, if you're inclined to question yourself or you've received messages when you were younger or as a woman we often get the message that we're not as good as others or we
Mm.
should play ourselves down, and so
Mm.
then moving into a new space, yes, I did struggle with my confidence there for a little while. And so
Mm.
I actually, so much so that I trained with the world leading expert in imposter syndrome and became an expert in imposter syndrome because I like to do the best.
And I think that is something where we all want to be our best. We always strive to for perfection, but perfection there isn't such a thing as
A myth.
perfection. It,
Yeah.
it's improving on the skills that we've got in order to be able to do what we do and be continually improving and getting better, because that is how we learn and we grow. And I think, as you said, if you settle there for, oh, I've done it, that's when we get stale and static, and we don't embrace the journey. So that's really, and I love the unfair advantage. I worked in advertising, and that definitely does help yourself with the with how you come across. So, sorry, we were talking about where you started your social media journey. Was it actually on LinkedIn, or did you start on another platform first?
I mean, look, if we're talking about me as a person, then obviously I was around when Facebook came
Mm.
out,
Yeah, yeah.
originally. Uh, but in terms of my business, yes, it was LinkedIn because I did my coaching diploma. The first thing I did whilst I was doing my coaching diploma, and I think a lot of people don't do this, is I got myself a life coach because I said to myself, how can I be a life coach if I don't know what it's like to be coached?
Mm,
Have a
mm.
life coach.
Yeah,
So I got myself.
yeah,
I mean, I just feel like that's incongruent. People
yeah,
who go into the coaching space and don't have coaches or won't pay for coaches or don't invest in mentorship.
yeah.
I mean, they're having a laugh, aren't they? Like, if that's the thing that you sell, then you should be getting coaching.
So you were saying that you basically, if you're doing coaching, the first thing you did invested was in a life coach, and ultimately the importance, if you are going to be doing work as a coach and training consultant or anything like that, you have to invest in mentorship and support in order to do what you do. Totally agree. Oh,
Yes, yes, yeah, exactly. And then I joined I guess a business mentor, she was a coach for coaches,
mm,
basically. And her thing was LinkedIn.
mm,
She encouraged everybody to be on LinkedIn. And we're talking 5 years ago at this
mm,
point, so um, she was the encourager to get on LinkedIn and actually talk about my business on LinkedIn. And that was kind of the start of me trying to understand how content worked, how to promote yourself in a space like LinkedIn. Because prior to that, I did the standard get a Facebook business page, get an
mm,
Instagram page, and
yeah,
like chuck up inspo posts and quotes from other people. And it was all just absolute rubbish because that's
mm,
never going to sell your business, is it? Or your
mm,
service.
mm,
So yeah, I engaged with that person and they encouraged us to use LinkedIn. And so that's really where it all started.
mm,
And then I just was consistent with it. I was posting at least 3 times a week. And then I moved to every, 5 times a week. And then
mm,
as you know, when you start doing something, you build a habit, you get
mm,
more and more into it. And I started
mm,
to grow on there and I went
mm.
from like maybe just over 1,000 followers or maybe just under. And now I've got like 8,500,
Wow,
and
yeah.
obviously I've been invited into the top voice program. I
Mm,
get, regular engagement on my content. I
mm,
get good impressions, consistent followers. Some of my posts have gone viral. Not that I chase going viral, but it's
no.
very interesting when that happens.
Yeah, yeah.
And, just being a bit more targeted about what I'm talking about and really understanding how the platform works.
Mm,
And I fully and fundamentally believe, and even Gary Vee is saying this now, is that LinkedIn is a very rich space and a place for a lot of opportunity that
mm,
people, if they do not get on board now, will miss the boat
mm, mm,
because like any social media platform, it's going to monetize itself the way
mm,
Meta has, the way
mm,
Instagram
mm.
has.
Oh,
But right now, it's in that build phase, and it
yeah.
wants creators.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree, and
I'm here.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, we did catch you, but yeah, it is it's very interesting. perspective and of use of it. And I've seen the change in the time that I've been on it, in the 3 years that I've been building my social media journey. Um, and, having
Mm.
just recently taught my own intro to social media with another 10-week course coming up, it was interesting going back to where I was 3 years ago with people starting out and how you start the sort of the journey. And I sort of always say, we'll
Mm.
start with the known before you move to the unknown, to the simple, complex. And it was interesting when we did the group. When we looked at it, I introduced them to the different platforms because my view or how I got onto social media wasn't for building a business and content creation. It was actually in order to see how they work to teach it, which was a totally different way of using social media. And I still very much am the analytical way of doing. And a post yesterday was about the STEM approach to social media, which I think fits what I do very well. But it was interesting because out of the group, more were felt confident using Instagram than Facebook. A couple of them preferred Facebook, but all of them felt LinkedIn was really intimidating. And I have to agree,
Mm.
when I started the journey, I, I can remember when I got made redundant, you had to have a LinkedIn profile, you had to do this, that, and the other. And as you did, it was very much like it was your CV platform there, and if people were interested in you, that type of thing. And I think people still see, it's the place of, oh, that's where you look for a job and you put your CV up there, type of thing, and see what happens. And as you and I both know now, it's totally nothing like that. And the content you can put on LinkedIn is very similar as to what you can put on Facebook in the type of approach with things like that. So in the science experiment of what I do with the posts, I find there's far more engagement on platforms like LinkedIn and TikTok, for example, than I do on Instagram and Facebook. So although those are what I call the good training platforms to start you off to build your confidence, really the relationship building, the content and stuff like that, most of the connections that I've made that have been of value have been through LinkedIn, would you believe? So it's interesting how the approach is. And I think, if we are talking about the profiles and anyone's watching, if you have just used it as a CV place and that's it, and you aren't using it, you are really missing out on an opportunity. And I'm sure that Rachel will be sharing with us now how you can turn your CV profile into something that actually works for you. If that's okay with you, Rachel, what would you say of your experiences are the biggest mistakes that people are making and how they can rectify that?
All right, well, let's just take a step back there because there were a couple of interesting things that you said about people's, perspective on LinkedIn.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that is, it's an intimidating place where you chuck up your CV, your digital CV, and you just go there to look for a job. Now, that is still relevant, by the way.
Hmm.
That is still relevant. However, it is obviously become a much bigger platform than, a CV version of Facebook, if you like,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So it's got a
yeah,
similar kind of, you build a profile like you would on any of the social media platforms. Particularly Facebook is quite similar in its interface in
yeah,
that you have your own page, you put your information up and all that kind of thing. Obviously, the point of LinkedIn when it first started out was it was a business networking job forum style platform.
yeah.
Now, that is obviously relevant because people do go there and look for jobs and they get jobs and they find jobs and blah, 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 and all that kind of thing. But I think what people are missing, and particularly like we've obviously got two types of people, right? You've got people who are in careers who are
Mm.
looking for work,
Yeah,
looking for promotions, all that kind of
yeah.
thing, and then you've got people who've got businesses. Now,
Mm.
if you are in the first camp and you are, somebody who has a career and, potentially you want to maybe move up or go into a different job, if you're leaving your LinkedIn page to just sit there and do nothing, it is doing nothing
Mm.
for you and your career because it is an opportunity for you to showcase and sell yourself
Mm.
in a way that makes you attractive and gets found. So
Mm.
if you think about it, like when recruiters are looking for people to, put forward to companies, headhunters, when hiring managers are looking, what are they going to look for? They're going to look at your LinkedIn. And if your LinkedIn hasn't been filled out since NAM,
Mm,
right, and it's got no information on it,
mm,
you are eliminated before you've even had an opportunity
yeah,
to present yourself.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's one thing.
yeah,
All right. So you actually have to, in order for you to then make your profile and yourself more of an attractive candidate. And we've got to remember, we're in a digital age now. There is a lot of competition for
mm,
positions.
mm,
So you must be doing whatever you can if you want to
yeah,
get those positions, if you want
yeah,
to get those opportunities.
yeah,
You've got to fill your profile out from top to bottom.
yeah,
And you've got to do it in a way that makes you sound attractive to somebody else.
yeah,
What is it about you that
yeah,
would make somebody want to work with you?
yeah,
What are the things that you've done?
yeah,
What are the achievements you've got? What's the impact that you have made? What is the hole that you fill in other people's companies?
mm,
That's what you've got to talk about in
yeah,
your profile. And it's no different if you're a business owner, except
yeah,
you're selling a service and you've
yeah,
got to put your client and their
yeah,
pain points up front.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So you must fill it out, must.
Yeah, yeah, and I love that, and I'm glad you said all that because I feel good now because that's what I've been teaching my learners in the classroom. So I'm getting it right. Yeah, that is that, especially with regards to because I do different versions of social media, and one of them has been using social media for job purposes and obviously building confidence to get back to work and how you can use the tools around you. So those are really good points that you've said there. And it's also, as you said about your USP, as I call it,
Mm,
your unique selling point, because even going for an interview, um, the thing is, there's so many people that got the same skill set as you. It's finding out what you have that you can do that's different, that fills the gap, or actually gives them, makes you, the solution to the problem they've got for the employment process. And people really struggle with that. And I think that because of lacking confidence, um, we're always more reserved when we go for an interview. I think it's nerves kick in and we don't sell ourselves, or we feel like we're bragging or boasting. And I think it takes a lot of rewiring of the mind to actually say, no, you're talking with confidence because I can do this, and change that mindset. So, yes, it is really, as you said, so important to be able to talk about it on your profile and show how you can do it, whether it is for business or for a potential employer. So, those are some really
mm.
good tips that you've shared there for sure. Um, how do you feel, when what sort of the common mistakes that you see people are making with their content? Because I know that we've been talking about the profile a minute, but also there is, with regards to the content now, especially for business owners, there is, if you've got to have a profile, you've got to be putting content out there. It's not just a case of this is what I do and expect people to come up and and buy from you. It's normally we look at your profiles and see how we can sell to you rather than we want the services. So we have to create content whether we want to or not. And I know that's one of the biggest shifts that I've had to learn myself in the last sort of 12 months, going from the research tool to okay, if I'm going to use them, let's start using them and seeing how it works. It's still part of the experiment for me, but I know a lot more people are obviously how to get started with writing and creating content. So, what tips would you share to people who haven't had that experience of doing content before, that are looking at creating for the first time, who haven't perhaps got the unfair advantage you have of having the advertising experience in the background? How do you how do you get started? What were your tips on getting started for those that are new to the platform and want to begin?
Okay, so I mean, like any content creator, yes, I have a marketing background, I have advertising background. None of that taught me how to write content. I went and worked with copy coaches and messaging people, specialists
Yeah.
to get that info, like a copywriter. I've worked with two copywriters in order to craft this. The number one thing that I see business owners not doing is having clarity on who they are talking to.
Mm,
They do not know who their dream client is.
yeah.
They've got an idea,
Yeah.
but they don't have any real clarity. And that's because they're not doing the deeper work to get to understand that person. And that comes down to market research. So one
Right.
thing you've got to do when you decide, okay, you can say to yourself, you know what, I really want to work with women who are in middle management who want to get promoted, right? That's a
Mm,
pretty standard one that I see kind of
mm,
people saying, right? Because let's face it, a lot of people want to leave their 9 to 5. What do
mm,
they know? They've come from like leadership careers.
mm.
They know that they struggled with that, so they want to help other people not struggle the way they did, right? This is a
Yeah.
fairly common kind
Yeah.
of coaching practice that women tend to go into. And so, they kind of got this understanding of like, who they are. They're maybe like 35, something like to 45, 30 to 40. They work in corporate, they're stuck in middle management and they're frustrated about that. But that's literally as much as they know.
Mm.
And then, it's like, right, that's the person I'm talking to. So then I'm just going to write some content. It's like, but you don't understand them on a deeper level. And
No.
the only way you're going to understand these people on a deeper level is you've got to talk to them and you must do market research. I tell all of my clients to do this.
Yeah.
In fact, no one comes into my Level Up LinkedIn program unless I give them the Define Your Dream Client masterclass beforehand and say, go and watch this and do this work. And then when we start the program, you're going to be in a much better
Mm,
position to be able to create content, write your profile, the marketing messages, dial in your message, everything, because
mm,
you have to do this work.
mm,
So I get them to do the market research to understand, their clients on a deeper level, their pain points, the language they're using, and the outcomes that they want. Because we make assumptions about what people want, again, without talking to them. So we must talk to them and understand, well, what is it that they want? Like, what do they really want? And
mm,
then we can tailor what we do and our message to talk to that thing.
mm.
So that really is number one. In terms of the tips, like you must know who you're talking to, right? That is
Mm.
obvious. So we've got to get our target audience, their pain points, and their desired outcomes. That's super important for
Yeah.
content creation. Then we've got to, get our content buckets. So we've got to be super clear on, really, we just need three main content buckets that we're going to be talking about. And that comes down to, who are you? What do you do? And
Yeah.
what is your service?
Yeah.
And then underneath each of those, you will be able to attach pain points that your clients experience around those content buckets that you can then talk to at different stages of the content funnel, which is top, middle, and bottom of funnel. So your top funnel is your wider audience, your middle of the funnel is zoomed in, your bottom of the funnel is your dream client.
The top of the funnel, the middle of the funnel, and
Yeah.
the bottom of the funnel. Yeah. Okay.
And you've also got to understand the buyer journey, right? So in marketing, we have a very simple understanding of the buyer journey, right? And it's that there is a large percentage, like 60% of your audience is totally unaware that they have a problem.
Yeah.
Totally unaware. So they're not looking for, solutions basically. So we want to get them from totally unaware to basically taking action. So we, with our content, lead people through that. So if they're totally unaware, we have to start making them aware that there is potentially a problem that they're experiencing, right? And then we move them into problem aware, which is 20% of the market.
Yeah.
And then with our content, we're starting to become aware of a problem. So then they become symptom aware, which is 17% of the market. And when I say symptom aware, it's like that is, oh, I'm experiencing an itch, right? I've got a problem. I've got an itch. I've just got an itch. Symptom aware might be, oh, that might be eczema. Maybe
Yeah.
you're allergic to dairy.
Yeah.
So now you're starting to like symptom aware, and then you move into like seeking a solution,
Yeah.
which is, okay, now I know I've got eczema. What am I going to do about it? I'll go and find a nutritionist or a doctor. So then that's about becoming solution seeking, taking action, right? So
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
we do with our
Yeah.
content. We take
Yeah.
them through that journey.
Yeah. I love that. I love that description. I've got an itch. How do I solve it? That is, it is, and that is so.
Yeah,
That is actually a really good description. I was just trying to think of it in terms of like the digital skills, really, because as you say, there are so many problems that I'm aware of that people don't know that I just see through just looking at the content or the stuff that comes through, and I'm thinking, yep, they still haven't got how to do it yet. But it's also that they aren't, you know,
yeah,
I'll use the words that came to me was, I know enough to get by, and that, you know, that I know enough to get by. If
hmm
I'm not sure, I'll give it to somebody else, or, you know, I'll pay someone else to do it. And I think that is such a sad way to look at things, that you know you've got a problem but you don't want to do anything about it. And you know, I like the way that you explained about taking people on a journey, that, you know, okay, they've got a problem that they aren't
yeah,
aware of, and that it's you're introducing them to those problems to make them realize, oh, I have got a problem with laying out my pages or the bullet points going all over the place, or you know, and stuff like that, and actually
yeah,
making them aware that you can actually do something, and you can actually get, you know, coaching on those things, just as with everything else, I guess is the way to look at it.
yeah,
So that's a really good pro
yeah.
process that you've explained
So
there. I think we frozen
yeah,
again.
I mean the other. Oh, okay. Am I
So no,
back?
no, you're back. You're back.
Yeah, I'm back. So the other thing is that, I mean, you asked me for tips, right? So I'll just continue.
Please do.
Um, People are not single-minded in their content. Yeah. So what I do often see is posts that are stuffed with three different ideas. And I'm like, that is an assault on the eyes. I do not know what I'm reading. There's too many words and there's too many ideas. So be singular in your thought when you post a piece of content, right?
Yeah.
Identify the problem, agitate that problem, provide the solution to that problem. Don't do anything else,
Mm,
right? Pick one pain point that the client is experiencing, talk about the impact and agitate that a little bit, then talk about how they can solve it. This is like basic content structures.
mm,
And then give it white space. Like I see blocks of text and unicorns and rainbows and God knows what else. Like, no, get rid of all of that.
yeah.
Okay, we
Yeah.
just want simple formats that are readable,
Yeah.
simple ideas. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't use complicated language or jargon. Just keep it super simple. We are inundated with content these days, so
Yeah.
we want to make it quick and easy to read and get.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. Um, And that's it. I like the what you said, because a lot of, with all due respect, a lot of content is being created with the use of AI now for quickness and stuff like
Mhm.
that. And you know, I don't think there is anybody really that isn't using it to a point. But yes, so much of the created with AI is full of emojis and this, that, and the other, and it's just, you know, really off-putting. But the other thing that I've seen that's being done is it, and it's all to do with spacing, which is something that just hits me in the face every time I see it. It's about not knowing how to do the spacing, and I've seen certainly on Facebook people putting like full stops in between paragraphs and things like that, and I'm thinking, why? And it's because of the spacing, yeah, but I find it really
I
off-putting
don't
when
even know how to do that on Facebook.
they what
I
and it's
don't.
like,
I don't know.
you don't know with the spacing on the Facebook and the things like, oh well, that's a whole session on its in itself. But
Yeah,
and
probably.
it comes out of all of the platforms. You can get away with it on Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. But on Facebook, if you literally do a copy paste job and don't re-edit it before you go in and check and get rid of any of the paragraph, new line marks, and the spacing, you end up with these little triangle question marks coming in the text, and then what people have done is they put full stops in to try and give it a space, but literally if you are actually doing this, this is what you need to do. Sorry, hijacking here, but you have to do a new press the return key at the end. So like if you're typing in word processing, you press the return key to leave a blank line and start a new paragraph. You do the same, but what happens is the default typeface now is done with spacing, so it automatically puts spacing in, and when you copy it to Facebook, for example, it doesn't recognize the spacing, so it does it all squashed together. So the easiest way to do it is to get the text into a Word document, or a text-based document first of all, to get the layout sorted out. Then you can copy and paste it into any of the platforms
Yeah,
without those horrible error
got
marks
it.
coming like that. So that's the way to get through it. There you go. One tip, tip there.
Amazing. I learned something new.
I was trying to work out how to put
Good
that
stuff.
in a social media post has been
All the
challenging.
double thumbs as well.
Yes, Pompey Purple. It's
Yeah.
my son's graduation coming up, so I'm all prepped ready for his graduation. I'm actually wearing his branded colours as well today for his little business. So when he finally starts it properly, so he comes home. So more of that coming up later on. So those are some really good tips there. Thank you for sharing those with us, Rachel. So I think if there were some takeaways from this interview that you would like people to stop doing or take on board, what would you say were the three things that, that we've always obviously talked about the profile and what we're doing. We've talked about the type of content, but what other things do you think that we would say to focus on building with our confidence and our shifts in our mindsets to actually start using LinkedIn as the tool, really useful tool that it is, that we know it could be?
Um, well, the thing is, with people with LinkedIn, they're afraid of it, and it's like, what are you afraid of? It's a social media platform. Like, get over yourself. And secondly, if you have a business, like really, like if you have a business, then and your clients your clients are on LinkedIn, so get on there. The
Mm,
other thing is, everybody overthinks their posts, like, oh, what if somebody says this, or what if that, and blah, 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 and all these what ifs go around. You're making it about you. It's not about you.
mm,
It's about the impact you make on people, right? So even if you have a post that only reaches 100 people, 100 impressions, 50 impressions, 2 likes, whatever, if it makes the impact on one person, then get over it and just post it. It doesn't matter if it doesn't get viral, right? We are here to make an impact and serve others. We're not here to like get all caught up in ourselves. And so, it's actually just that reframe around the posting of the content. Good. That's
yeah.
the point of content. Somebody is supposed to see it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that is it. And I'm so glad that my son's a film editor. He will have some editing work to do. Yes, so no, that is it. And I think, the amount of comments I had with people that have come to me in the classroom, that have come to me in the DM when they join my free Facebook group about social media. I don't know what to say. I'm afraid to put think down, the commenting, just getting started. And I think, the more you overthink about it, the more you put problems there. It doesn't have to be some mega thingy,
You
but
won't
just
do it. Yeah.
just get going, get commenting. That's how I started, commenting on other people's posts, and then finding things that we're interested in, engaging, and getting, doing that to begin with. So, and that's certainly what I've said to my guys that have just started their intros. So just don't worry about getting all the content at the moment. Look at the content that you like, look, commenting on stuff like that, get you started. And then once you start to see the things that are doing and liking, then you can start building the next step. But I do think that you are, when you say about the art copywriting and the art of actually creating and learning to do that is such a valuable skill to learn. And I was actually looking at something yesterday that somebody posted on TikTok, that one of the dying arts now were was being a copywriter, doing creating content and admin, because it's all being done by AI. But the thing is, yes, it's being done by AI, but if you don't understand the structure and the purpose of what it is you're building to use these tools to work for you, you're still not going to be achieving the results. So I think what you've said about learning that writing skill is such a valuable point that you made earlier as well with what you're doing. So you know, people will invest in things
Yeah.
with what they perceive to be a value, and I think there is a lot of value to be had out there that people just don't realize or know about for sure. That was a really good point that you made.
Yeah.
Thank
I mean, you
you.
made an interesting point. Yeah, I mean, just to add on to that, there's something you said about commenting there. I mean, if people are afraid to put content out there, then commenting is the way to start, because you're
Mm,
going to build up your confidence, you're going to build up your profile and your presence. I mean, anyone going on LinkedIn, before you start doing anything, you've got to get your profile into shape. Like,
mm.
there's no point putting yourself out there if people then go to your profile and have no idea what you do.
Yeah,
So get that sorted first. And then in terms of the confidence piece, if you're not ready to share content yet, you haven't done your market research, all that kind of thing, then go out and just look at what other people are doing.
yeah, yeah,
Just
yeah,
look and learn.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
and comment and connect and
yeah,
make, those conversations start happening. So,
yeah. That was really good. And again, I think when we talk about market research, if you are starting out and you don't know what market research is, it is it's looking at what people are doing, but it's also having conversations with people to actually engage with what they're doing. And I think a lot of people don't do the market research. They will look at a little bit, but they don't physically have the conversations with people. And conversations with people, it doesn't necessarily mean you're selling to people. It's asking, what it is that they do or what could they help with. And I think that's the other misuse of the platforms that I'm finding, is I've had loads of connection requests with me. I've inundated with connection requests, and you initially think naively, oh, are they actually after my service? And then you actually realize, no, they're not interested in anything that you have to offer. It's what they can sell you. And it's that market research. Or you get the people that send connection requests to you, or friend requests, whichever platform you're on, and then they don't send anything to, there's no hello, or why did they connect with you? So I find I get the two they either connect with you and then they don't connect with you and have anything to say with you, or they hit you with a sales pitch straight away.
yeah, that's not market research, though. That's
No.
audience building. So, market research is actual conversations, and they should never be about selling. Market research conversations should never be about selling. You don't have to do like, I'm conducting market research. You could just talk to your friends. You can have
Mm,
conversations with people.
mm.
Like, one of the skill sets that I've actually developed because of what I do is listening to
Yeah,
what people tell you,
yeah,
and then getting curious about what do they mean, but tell me a bit more about what's happening there.
yeah.
Oh, and then once you hear these stories, you hear this language, you hear what's going on for them, that then becomes content starting points. And actually, the more you write content, the more you think in content.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I agree with you. And I think where I've been lucky, or the challenge that I've had more personally, is because I've been in the classroom for 25 years, I've had so much coming through me of the problems. I've seen it in there and what they do and what they say. So I've had a lot of that information there. But I will say that the transition moving from the real world, as I call it, to the virtual world has been quite different, and the way of working has been quite different as well, even in terms of the language used and stuff like that. So it's been quite a definite change of having to learn or relearn from one environment to another environment, and the way that you do the delivery as well. And it's like the change from teaching, obviously teaching, we teach the what, the why, and the how. And obviously in virtual world, you've got to do the what's and the whys, but you don't do the hows, because obviously how to is obviously the bit that earns you the money. So it's getting the balance right with what we're doing, and how we're building all those skill sets. So it's so much to learn, that when I definitely didn't know half of what I've learned now. And this year I would say has been my personal biggest growth, because you've been learning all of those things, as I said, going from doing it for the research of what works and how it works, to actually putting the stuff together, to be actually creating the content, has been a real learning journey as for me as well. So I think you've showcased so many really good tips that I think people make, that don't, when they're first starting out, that is, going to find this invaluable. So, which leads me really much into what I want to just ask you now, is really, we've talked a lot about the process, the benefits of LinkedIn. And I think anybody watching this or listening to us will agree that LinkedIn is definitely the platform to be on, and it's certainly the one I think I'm going to be focusing more on. What have you got coming up? What is coming up in the world of Rachel Lowndes in terms of offers, and what you're doing, and how we can work with you? And just before you do, if you want to know more about Rachel, and you've watched the interview and you've got some more questions to reach us on, then use the Be in the Spotlight email address. So it's beinthespotlight@gmail.com. And anything that you've got from watching the show, listening to us, or questions that you've got, put them in the comments, or send it to the email, and I will forward it on, and we will deal with your responses. Sorry, Rachel, please do share.
I run a free training every month called Turn Your LinkedIn into a Client Attraction Magnet in just 30 days. So I do that every month, in which I will take you through how to, the three things that you need to do in order to turn your LinkedIn into something that's going to attract clients. And a lot of people don't know this stuff. And so that's what I'll talk you through in that session. And then every month, I also run my Level Up Your LinkedIn 30-day mini mastermind, which in this program, we are going to optimize your profile top to bottom, dial in your marketing message, understand your dream client, understand how to build out your audience with the right people, as well as the wider audience, so that you connect more with people and create content that converts. So that's what we do in that 30-day program. And I run it every month. So I run the free training every month and the Level Up Your LinkedIn program every
Brilliant.
month.
I mean, I've actually attended the first one with Rachel, and it was absolutely amazing. Blown away, blown away. So definitely, you get a chance to get on, do it. So thank you, Rachel. And just for a little bit, because it's not all about LinkedIn. I know that you do a few other things, and I think it's good to share what else there is out there, because I know that you're on all of the social media platforms as well. So when I'm obviously sharing the interview, it will be shared across the platforms. But you have a little chat show of your own, don't you? So would you like to just tell us a little bit about your chat show, and what we can experience when we listen to you?
Yes, I have a podcast called The Leading Ladies Who Lunch. I have a co-host in New York. When I met her, she was working at Macy's. She's now working at Louis Vuitton because she just likes to level up on her branding. The show is basically a lunchtime based 30-minute, 40-minute show where we talk about the things that people in corporate experience, the challenges. And, at lunchtime, you tend to go to lunch with your friends and just have a little like chat about, hey, what happened today and blah, blah, blah. So that's kind of the premise of the show. And we have quite a lot of guests on. So we get guests on, we interview them, and it's really about careers, leadership, how to navigate corporate life, what's going on in the world, and obviously talking to some like epic guests. So we actually recently had Jim Keys on, who's the
Wow.
former CEO of 7-Eleven and Blockbuster. He was great. We've had a guy recently who used to work for President Obama.
Wow.
So he's coming on soon.
So you've got another one to follow after this one. So 2 for the price of 1 today.
Okay.
Thank you, Rachel. That is brilliant. So again, just to
Yeah.
reconfirm, there's loads of information that if you want to find out or get more details, as I said, email us at beinthespotlight@gmail.com. So Rachel's on all of the platforms, even though she specialises LinkedIn. I know she's on the other platforms. So if you want more info, where to follow us, how to get in contact us, email me at that address, and I will forward it on, and we will deal with your queries or questions. So thank you ever so much, Rachel, for sharing your time and dodgy internet connections as well, but albeit it makes interesting
Sorry
interviewing
about that. Yeah.
experiences. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you again. Thank you. Take care. Bye now.
In the spotlight is the place to be networked and discuss technology. Being in the spotlight is the place to be. Tech talk tips for free.